I think this is a game built on Chromium because OBS says, "Hey, games built on Chromium can't be captured." But the thing is, I don't know what that means. What in the world is a game built on Chromium? How do you build a game on Chromium? This is a game called Alabaster Dawn by the developers of, and this is sort of surprising to see, by the developers of CrossCode, which is a game that we never got to finish, but it's actually one of my favorite games. I never got to finish that game. But they're making this game, and they finally released a demo of this 3 days ago on the 18th, and they've been making this game for years. The final update for CrossCode actually came out just recently, actually, to fix a couple of issues with the game, I think. I think there was one crash from the options menu, which was very hard to find. Yeah, the last final hotfix on the 7th anniversary, and there's more plushies, especially of the annoying green hair guy. Perfect, right? And now we get to see what their next title is, which actually does look really, really cool. I just don't know what Chromium means in the context of a game. Hi, if you agree to enabling analytics, yeah, sure. Thanks so much. Thank you. You're welcome. The way that they talk to me makes me feel good. I wonder how it must have been for you. That's very fast text, by the way. That text went by so quickly that I could barely even read it. When the sky darkened the deep red. It's like so fast that you can't even understand what it's saying. Like you don't even get a moment to see it as a whole sentence. Nix's arrival. Years of preparation and it still caught us by surprise. We all panicked and ran for the shelters. Yeah, especially as somebody who can't read English as well as I do, would really struggle with that pace. Now, as far as I know, this game has no relation to CrossCode. As far as I know, it's like a whole different game, whole different story, which I'm excited about because not that CrossCode is like a bad story. It's one of the cooler things I've seen, but just there's something really interesting about the way that they tell stories that I wouldn't mind seeing this new attempt at something interesting, right? I think they have a very good system and a very good understanding of like what makes a story engaging and just strange and like fun to want to experience, especially based on what CrossCode we've played. I'm also in particular very curious about the gameplay because while the perspective of the game is similar to what CrossCode kind of is, it sort of feels like it's not really. Like it feels like the one thing about CrossCode that I hated and that I also loved was that interesting mix of like the verticality in a mostly 2D environment. But there were moments of it where it felt very confusing. In this game, it feels like there's a much clearer delineation between something that is like 3D horizontal, like standing vertically in the world versus like a flat horizontal plane. Like it feels like there's actual depth to it that I can tell that, oh, this is higher, versus I have to rely on like the way that the tower looks like. Everyone, the capital's gates aren't much further. Now we advance. Sorry, I'm not really... Nico and Silas, you take the right path. I'm not really interested in the story yet. I just want to like skip ahead of the story just a little bit. Just because it's like, when you get to the full game, that's when I would care about the story a lot more. Not to say that the story would be bad here, but it's sort of like the beginning of every sort of hero's journey story, right? And I don't want to spoil too much of it for myself. Like, this is one of those things where it's like, if you learn too much about it, it sort of loses its appeal. But it does feel nice to play, and it's much more clear about what you're doing now compared to CrossCode. The one thing about CrossCode that was very frustrating was that it was very difficult to know exactly how something would impact something based on its verticality, right? Like, especially if something was on a higher plane than you, would you be able to hit it, or would you have to stare at the shadow? Again, here it's like, I know that this is above me, and I know exactly where my swing is in relation to it. Everything feels a lot more understandable. And it looks really nice. Sound effects are massive, though. It's so loud. It's also interesting that this game plays very well, so far, at least on keyboard and mouse, which is also how I played CrossCode. And I like how they're keeping a lot of the same gameplay elements, too. This idea of, like, the dodging, the swinging, the using your skills and, like, combos, even doing things like charge attacks, timing your moves. That was the one thing that I really enjoyed about CrossCode, was that gameplay loop. There was something very satisfying about mastering that. Sorry, I just really don't want to spoil myself. But I do like this idea of it. It is interesting that we started out with these 5 protagonists coming out of what seem to be these almost like cryopods of sorts. God, that feels really fun to play too. Jesus, it feels really good to just swing around them. R, hold to block and parry. I'm not gonna get used to this button. And you have to be able to parry things too. Okay, I see. That's actually interesting. I wonder if this is... Like, I'm curious to see if this demo is actually... This character is going to be the main character of the game itself. Or if it's going to be somebody else, right? Because how much of this actually carries over? These mechanics like parry and stuff. Especially when you consider that there's a lot of other characters within the game. What does it all mean? And now it's stunned. Now you can stagger it. Now you can now you can just do a bunch of damage to it. 10,000 damage. Sorry, I know whoever made this is probably gonna be like, why are you skipping the entire story? I just don't want to spoil bits and pieces of it for myself. But the gameplay, you like, that's the one thing that CrossCode did very, very well that I was looking forward to the most. Especially the boss fights. There was something about CrossCode that was really cool in that they actually had very interesting boss fights. Which, for a lot of games, like, it's very hard to make a boss fight in general. But then think of it for a game that's in this like 2D space. It's super hard to make a boss fight interesting within a 2D space. Because you have so little to work with, right? And the one thing that CrossCode did very well is that this idea of a 3D-ish space and the ability for you to fall into different, you know, chasms and the stuff even made the first boss of the game very interesting. Or like the second boss, where it's like you immediately go into a boss fight and you have to think about how this creature is like on its own little plane, the like giant crab within the tutorial of a CrossCode, or the tutorial within the tutorial of the game's world. And that was like amazing, right? Like they know how to make a good boss fight. And it does feel like a lot of the mechanics feel the exact same as it was within CrossCode, which is interesting. Again, I'm just curious to see how this, you know, party system works, or like why there's multiple people here, and how much of a role these other characters play, or if it's just story-wise. Man, this game looks amazing. Jesus. And now there's a million different monsters, and they're all here now, and they're all enraged. And then the gods failed us. And then the weapons from the gods goes away, all of our powers, and then I'm assuming that everyone dies. The divine gear is gone, and then Damon's dead. Even the visual effects are really cool. Like the various like the ways that they move the camera, it seems like they can do a lot more cinematography in this game. The Dark Red Hour of Despair. What? I was glad you still slept untouched by the god's silence. Oh. Okay, maybe the demo... Maybe we should have cared about the storyboard. Sorry. So, wait. So, of the heroes that awoke, everybody but us woke up. And I'm assuming that we're Juno. Also, this game is very quiet in various places. Do we actually get to play this part out? Oh, we do. Huh. Again, kind of worried about spoiling too much of the story for me, but by the time I get to the game, because it's like, I really want to experience it in the full release. Not to say that the story is bad. Again, it's just I don't want to accidentally, you know, ruin that first moment for myself. But so far, this is a really nice look at just the gameplay and what they're trying to go for. New story, The Lost Lands. How long ago has this been? Because there's a skeleton there. No one's here. I'm the only person alive. The volume is very weird. Something about the volume. It's like, yeah, here we go. The music is almost too low at times, but also too high at times. It's like even on 75, even on the default, the music sounds a bit too quiet for things. Like just a lot of the game sounds very, very quiet. And then combat sounds really, really loud, which makes sense, but it's interesting to sort of see that. Cursor lock. Trap the game and set the cursors. Oh, yes. Well, that didn't work. Skip tutorials. No, full screen. Confirm cutscene skip. This option is still a work in progress. Swap weapon display. Divine focus slowdown. Enable analytics tracking. What? I clicked yes and it was already off. What? That sucks. But I'm actually very intrigued by what this is. And even just looking at this now, like, now we get into the real story flow of you being able to explore the map and see what's going on. Yeah. This is exactly what I wanted from the game. And you can especially feel, like, the way that you move and stuff. I guess our character still can't swim. And presumably she just comes back to life. I guess there's no in-game explanation as to why she can't swim, but everything feels very, very smooth. And again, it's reminiscent of the control scheme of CrossCode. But it's like, it feels better somehow. And it's specifically because of how much more clear it is. Everything is so much more clear. There's much more of a depth to this game. What's that over there? Sure, I'll click on this. The Divine Marble. What? Wait, so she gets the powers? She gets her powers. Her divine powers. But all the other divine powers disappeared. A divine cabbage. Oh my god, it's a creature. Is that a divine capybara? Juno O'Leary, you've awakened. You've awoken. Marble and Valor united at last. So I'm the marble and it's the Valor. It's a capybara. You're a water pig. There's no way that's a pig. Yes, that's me. Greetings. Of course. Is everything alright, Chosen? I'm not really a Chosen. You're not. Again, I don't want to spoil too much. Huh. Divine Soul of Vasir. So to cleave sorrow and pave the way to progress. That's interesting. I wonder if they actually have different weapons then. Because the one thing that was sort of interesting about CrossCode was that, or like, well, one thing that was very, yeah, I guess interesting is the way to say it, about CrossCode, is that you only had one weapon type. You could only do one thing, which was shoot the balls, or the VRMs, whatever, and then swing, right? But there was this hint of other classes within the game that was there with your party members, or even not even with your party members, just the NPCs that you met. They talked about things like the monks and stuff like that, right? There's like different ways that you could have played the game, but it's just our character Lear became, I forget the name of the class now, but it was like the Spheromancer or something. Press space while moving towards an edge to jump. Keep holding space to run faster and jump automatically. So I'm curious if they're going away from that, because even within the options, there was this idea of swap weapon display, which is interesting. Because even when you swapped elements, let's say, within CrossCode, your playstyle was the same throughout the entire game. It was just some special skills. That was the only problem with that game, was that the special skills that you used were basically the exact same no matter what you chose, and it only really differed in the effects that it had on the enemy. Whether it did more damage or it did some kind of CC effect, right? Or obviously the way that the attack plays out and the pattern that it moves in. But for the most part, it's all sort of the same deal. What is that flower? A gift left by the gods. It will replenish our health. Sure. Press H to use your healing buffs to regenerate health. H is a really annoying button, but I get why they do it. I've actually noticed this about a lot of games. A lot of games use the H for healing because it forces your hand to get off of other buttons. So it's like you can't hold space to dash, or if you play with a split keyboard like me, you can't use your mouse to aim. You have to lift off your hand off your mouse to heal. And now we get into the puzzle aspect of the game. This was the one thing that I thought CrossCode was very good at too. There was something about the way that they tackled the 2D puzzle, sort of puzzling gameplay very, very well, that felt like it had just as much complexity as a puzzle within the 3D space. Like whether the game was in 3D and it played like Metroid Prime or it played like it did, I think either way the puzzles would still be very engaging, right? And I'm assuming we get a ranged attack that's very similar to the initial game, but now it's a different weapon entirely. So they're both called weapons, the sword and the crossbow. The crossbow, like how she says the crossbow, as if she knows. What are the weapons as you have? That's it. So maybe we only have 2. Hold right click to aim at targets. Oh, this is interesting. It's a in the first game, the aiming was very annoying. It was the one thing that I kind of hated because of that depth perception issue, right? It was very hard to know where you were aiming, and you also couldn't aim up and down. It felt like, although maybe I'm misremembering, but I swear most of the time, if not every time, you had to be in the same plane as the enemy to be able to shoot something. So it was sort of like, it was a playstyle that, while it felt safe, ultimately ended up feeling like it wasn't really a major part of your gameplay except for within puzzles. Like the fact that it bounced off of walls, right? But here, it seems like you actually can aim up and down. I wonder how that's going to affect different things like the puzzles that you play. Although I can see it now. There's less need for you to understand how to bounce things off walls and do trick shots. And more, I guess, just plain old positioning of where you would want to be. And also, actually, that's also interesting too, that you have jump attacks here too. Unstated, but you do have the ability to do like a cool slam attack as you jump off of something. I don't know what that is. I guess that was a monster. Good. Turi Essence. This game is going for a much darker tone, which is interesting. Again, the first game was very, very lighthearted. Wow. Even something like that is so much more clear than the first game. The damage zones on the floors, they've made the right choice moving to whatever this perspective is. Because this perspective, so much more understandable compared to what it used to be. Like, everything is way more clear. And I see now that there's weapon sets. Setup? Vision. What? Vision. This game is going for a much darker tone. Everything is sort of dead. Everything is gone, lost. The world is in a disarray. The one thing that was interesting about CrossCode that was hard that is going to be hard for me to, I guess, leave behind is that they had a very interesting take on the idea of a virtual world. And I'm curious to see how well this Dark World plays like. Not because like Dark Worlds are bad, but it's sort of like, it can be like brooding worlds are kind of like, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but it makes you kind of feel like depressed at the end of the day. It's gonna be hard for me to want to stick with a very dark, broody world for a long time. And we did level up, actually. The shoulder power seems to have grown stronger already. How to use the growth chart to learn passive skills. I can figure it out. I can figure it out. It's not that hard. It's not that bad. But there's one for weapons. Okay, maybe I should have done the tutorial. There's one for weapons, too. So you have your core, your Divine Marble. Press X to activate your Divine Focus to analyze. Guarding, reduce damage, movement dash, movement jump. Unlocks a Decorous gem slot for your core equipment. Core gems are always active, regardless of which aspect you switch to. Increase the damage to break bars, boost affinity, boost strength. Boost defense, reduce stamina cost, boost life. Every time I see an upgrade tree like this, I sort of go, it is interesting to get more stats. Like, it's more fun to get more stats. But I do always think about this idea of, like, sure, you get more stats, but in the end, there's no real gameplay changes. You just do more of the same thing, but better. Obviously, it is hard to sort of make it interesting, but I was hoping for maybe a little bit more. Presumably, though, this is just very early on that there might be, or there's probably going to be more later on when the game fully launches. Affinity up is for crits. Okay, base multiplier for crits is that. You increase crit damage. Press left click while dashing to perform a quick sweep attack in front of you. Continue pressing to transition to the second attack of Water Dance. I could get a gem slot, but I don't know what a gem is. Activate special effects to customize your very own build. Okay, I might as well just get this once, and we'll see what happens. Water Dance basic combo. Wait shortly after the second attack, then press 3 left clicks to activate a combo that is especially effective against broken enemies. The last attack counts as a finisher. So there's different categories of attacks now, too. Huh. You know, the combat system is really good. It's still very simplified, right? But that's kind of what you want from a game like this. You don't want very complex Street Fighter style inputs. You want a simplified version that deals with timing and waiting and positioning, right? Hold left click to charge your weapon, let go. Hold left click after performing a back step to start charging. Release to execute a thrust that will hit multiple enemies in a line. What is a back thrust? A back step. And the back step is when you tap space. Backwards, right? Hold left click of the first attack to form a rapid series of attacks. Sure. That's super simple. Also, funny that they use the Clio Solus name. Very much reminds you of something like Castlevania, where the best sword in the game was the Claim Soleil or something. Keep aiming for a short while to charge up. Your next shot will now release a strong beat that penetrates all enemies in its path. Perform an auto shot to shoot 2 fast arrows, pressing both mouse buttons or shooting without aiming on the controller. Well, what about those mouse players? Okay, I kind of get it. I wonder what it means by shooting without aiming on controller. Like that's an interesting delineation that they use specifically for controller input. Because what does it mean by shooting without aiming? Do you just tap the button then, versus having to use the joystick to look at things? And do you aim before you shoot, right? Similar to how we do, but what's the input like? I maybe should have played this on controller to see, but mouse and keyboard is just hard to step away from. It is pretty broken. This tutorial zone is very good too, because it teaches you all the skills that you need to like do stuff. And the whole village is dead. The village where we saw the first attack. The wellspring is gone. Where are the gods? No one knows who the gods are, where they are. We just have a capybara. And there's a whole different shelter that we could go to. It's very, very sad. A green patch. Must be divine. It's called a waste route. Use this and you can also consume and bring back all of your stuff. Sure, okay, cool. That's interesting. There's other options here too. You can also regrow healing plants, which means the healing plants are just available for you to use whenever you need them, if you find them. Again, very interesting take on this game. I did not expect this type of tone from this game too. Like, coming from CrossCode, I think it's just something about that game. It was like such a very, very, very lighthearted story that you wouldn't ever expect something like this to be made. And yet, it's not a bad thing that they went with this angle. In a way, it's more interesting because it's like, in CrossCode, you had hints of that story, right? And I think we're still going through it and we're still trying to figure out what that means. But here, it's like very much in your face. This is, if anything, this is like the world of CrossCode without the main players. Okay, so you go like this and then you go like that. Without the main player being a video game character, right? Ow. This feels a little broken. Oh my god. It's very hard to aim, actually. The one thing that is interesting is that you still do move in like the 8 cardinal directions. You don't really get to aim freely. And in CrossCode 1, you didn't really run into the issue of having to aim your moves because your attack was usually the sweep, right? I don't think that game has a single angular move where you have a single straight line like that. I think everything in the game, actually maybe the fire form had like one, but I swear most of the game was just, you know, an AoE attack, and you didn't really have to care about things like where you would, like the point of like the tip of your attack. Not sure if I should have popped that actually. Maybe I should have waited. Auto shoot is insane, and I got EXP to level up that weapon, but I have EXP as a whole to level up things too. That's interesting. I wonder if using a weapon more upgrades that weapon. and only that weapon if you get kills with it. Compared to it upgrades your entire character, which is what it seems. It seems like it feels like that. But my weapon set is getting EXP too, so it's hard to tell. You have to fall inside the water. So I get EXP there for everything, but the weapon leveled up on its own. It's a little confusing to know how the leveling up works. Not that it really matters, because either way, you just swing your stuff and it's fine. I don't know. This auto shoot thing is really good. I actually wonder if it should just be like a default thing, because it feels pretty critical. Ow. It feels like it doubles your damage output with the range attack too. Because a normal shot isn't that strong. 34, 36. Whereas using this, you can go to 90 to 100 very, very quickly. In 2 shots. So it's like 40 to 50 damage. So our core is upgraded. We get bonus health and damage. I think I kind of get the leveling system. You level up your character, and then you also level up the skills itself, like the weapons themselves. But it seems like they share EXP, but they're not leeching from each other. They just share, and they gain the same amount of EXP, maybe? Execute another auto shot after Twin Fang to shoot a charged up arrow at a target in sight. Charge an auto shot following turn Twin Fang to shoot an array of arrows in the sky, falling down, hold art, second auto shot. Charge an auto shot to shoot a range of 5 of them. Okay. Let's try this. I haven't gotten a single gem, so I can't use I can't try out gems yet, but this is a very long demo. Huh. And that's not a bad thing, but I just didn't expect any value from this demo. It's actually so painful to use the auto shot on a PC. At least it's very lenient about how quickly you tap both buttons together. Like right there, I can go for maybe like a 300 millisecond delay from when I press the left click after the right click, and it still triggers. It's very good. The Quickwood fields are all pink now. The curse seems to transform the land in unexpected ways. Yeah. I'm assuming there's a bunch of secrets there too. Again, just skipping through the story because I don't want to spoil too much of it for when we actually play. Because this is a day 1 purchase game. Different kind of plant. You can dodge or reflect it using your shield. Note the red arrows. Yep, they can be reflected. You can neutralize all attack and reflect certain things. God. This just makes me want to finish CrossCode. We need to finish that game badly. I actually regret not finishing that game so much. Because it feels just as fun as this, but it's also because we've gotten so far that I don't know what's going on in that game. I'm missing out. Best right click after you successfully parry an attack to perform a fast counter stab. You can hit multiple enemies and push them along with you. Okay, sure. It sounds great. I can use parrying more. Because the parry is a new mechanic. I don't remember parry within the first game. But I also never learned to block in that game, so I guess it didn't really matter. Okay, but can you do the thing again? Sorry. Okay, that's okay. There is a delay after you use a block, so if you miss the parry, you have to wait again to do it again. But it's also very forgiving. Like, it is actually pretty good. It's both tight on execution, but not so tight that it feels annoying. You know what I mean? It's hard to explain. It's like, it's only tight because you have to use it at the right moment, but it lasts for quite a while, the parry. That's a lot of frames for how long the parry will last, right? That's a terrible way of saying it. It lasts a long time, but if you mess up, you have to wait a long time to be able to try again. There we go. And that feels good. Doesn't feel so punishingly... Like, everything about this game doesn't feel so punishingly tight, but still feels tight enough that it still feels like a challenge. A solid experience. And so many routes are cut off. I wonder if these routes open up in the full game, or if it's just a part of this tutorial thing. Oh, this is the rock that killed them. Rock that killed them all. So I can parry that too. It's interesting that you can parry what counts as an unparryable move. There has to be something that I can't parry. Also, my friends died to that. It's not that hard. What the? Granted, I'm the one who's playing them, so maybe it's on me, right? Okay, that didn't work. I can parry that. Okay, so I can parry that thing. What else can I parry? I can't parry that. Or rather, I can't block it. Why did you wait for me? Do you think? Do it. Okay, so you can't parry some things. I don't know what... How do you know what you can't parry? I must have skipped some very important dialogue box, sorry. So I can parry that. I must have skipped some very important dialogue box regarding parrying. That is gonna... Like, it's gonna come back and bite me in the ass at some point. My friends died to that thing? The fellow heroes? Oh, this is their spawn. Lehman's shelter. Trying to open it up. I'm trying to free my friend. Am I seriously the only one out here? Yeah. I guess this is a very interesting story beat. To know that you were a chosen hero and you were basically put to sleep for however many years to eventually have to go out and save the world. And you were the only one that didn't wake up, and all of your hero friends died because the gods forsake them. It feels reminiscent of other such epic stories, right? And it's interesting that they're taking this angle because within CrossCode, and I keep bringing that game up, but that game had hints of something like this, but not for the main character. It was weird that throughout that entire game, at least as far as we got, the character that we played was really just a pawn in the greatest system of whatever that game was. Like, whatever we were doing as the character in CrossCode didn't seem to have any real effect on the actual world that theme park was built on. The actual gods that existed in that place. This game says, well, the gods are real, and actually we play as the person who is dealing with the gods. Who in many ways probably just suffers, you know, the consequences of the gods, right? Oh, this is nice. Also, when the bee dropped to the top side there, I didn't feel frustrated because it's like, at least you can actually aim up at them now versus having to wait off the side. And so it's possible for you to actually do something even though they're stuck on a whole different plane than you. Whereas in the first game, if that happened to me, I'd have to climb up there and try to shoot them. It would have been annoying. Everything about this game feels good. It just feels like I'm bad at the game so far. it doesn't feel like anything in this game feels clunky or unfair. It just feels like I'm really bad at it. There is one thing though. It's a good thing that they give you a lot of experience points early, because the 3-hit combo, it's so different from the first game in terms of pacing. Like, I remember in the first game, you could like do like this and then keep on going, and you basically had an infinite dash bar that you could just keep on attacking very fluidly. Whereas in this game, it's actually expensive to do so, because if you do so, you actually lose out on stamina that you could use for things like parrying. So it's like, it's good because it's supposed to disincentivize you and to encourage like a riskier way of playing, right? But it's also bad because I think most people are going to just naturally play very, very safe and not want to do the very risky move. Just for a little bit more DPS. Of course it's broken. She can make that jump. I'm actually surprised that she could make that jump. Everyone's dead again. There's nothing good about the world here. Not that it's badly written. I'm just saying that, like, within the universe, if I was her, all of this would feel so soul-crushing, I wouldn't even know how to be the chosen one. I wouldn't even want to be. Wow. You know, talking about the art of the game, too. I didn't realize how expressive the character animations would be within this game. Like, you know, in CrossCode, the fidelity was a bit interesting. The character sprites themselves were also very difficult to see. There was very little detail within the character sprites, right? But here, it's like, she does this motion, and it doesn't look out of place. Like, she actually does look like she's in despair. There's a lot more detail within the art now. And it's not like you lost detail within the portraits either. And the portraits are even more detailed because the mouth of the character moves when they're talking. And there's such a subtle way of them doing the voices that I think even if you're playing alone and no one like me is narrating the game for you, because I doubt most people have somebody in their room narrating games for them, the pitch of the little dots, the like, it matches the emotion that you would expect behind the words. And so they don't need voice acting in a way. It's like they can give you a sense of the emotion behind the words without having like an actual voice reading these words out. See how he gets higher pitched because she's angry, and then this one gets lower pitched because he's like very solemn, trying to help comfort her. See, it's like it really does work. And even her questioning things, it goes into this like, you know, the like, huh? Kind of tone, right? I forget the actual name for it, but the Outcast Chosen. Wait, what? Was she always the Outcast Chosen? Or was that just her title in light of what happened? That was also a really nice scene. I should have maybe lingered on the scene a bit more, but the transition from this to that, and then seeing that in context of all of that, that was actually really nice. I like that they're able to do more cinematography within this game, because like a lot of the cutscenes within CrossCode really did feel flat in many ways. Like at most it felt like the most they could do was zoom into various pieces and stuff like that, you know. And obviously it's, you know, it's hard to make a good cutscene. Like not everyone can be like you're basically asking, game developers have a hard job. Okay, they have to be a film director, they have to be a sound designer, interior decorator, architect. It's hard, yeah, but in particular, it felt like they were limited by their tools, and it didn't feel like they could do stuff like that. The coolest cutscenes were when you would see the intro to various maps, or when you would have those maps that had like a very nice background, and you could see more of the background, right? Or even the main menu. That was it, really. The red pillar. Hey, that's the thing that killed them all last time. The nest. Where all of her friends died. I had to weave the nest. Yeah, of course not. This is where all of her friends died. By the tree. Another wasp. Again, I'm not saying that the story's bad. I'm just saying that, like, I just don't want to be spoiled from the story. But somebody hearing me must be like, why the fuck are you not reading this? And I'm sorry, it's just the full game is coming out at some point and I don't want to spoil everything. But I've been reading it. I sort of know what's going on. I'm actually surprised that the story is engaging enough that I would want to read it to that degree. That thing did so much damage to me, I don't know how to dodge it. Can I parry this? I can. I can parry this too. I also think it's just, again, it's just an interesting story. That's the one thing that I've always enjoyed about CrossCode. They were just able to make an interesting story from a premise that you wouldn't really expect to be that interesting. Because the premise it's literally just the metaverse. I can parry this, right? I can't. I can block it. I don't know if I'm parrying it. Okay, I don't know if I'm parrying those. I don't know if I'm doing anything correctly. The feedback on whether or not you're doing something correctly is a little difficult. it's a little non-existent. Like, it is hard to know if you're doing things correctly based on like, oh, have you parried successfully? Is that the effect that you should be looking for? I could have killed it there, but I messed up. I'm dead. I can parry this. I can parry that. It's gonna fall, and then the head is the... Okay, the yellow was the weak point. Sorry, I didn't realize. Until the very end. I do wonder if this is the same nest, or if it's a different nest from the ones that killed her other chosen ones. And now we have to weave it, whatever that means. I don't know what to do. What do you mean she knows what to do? Oh, this because this is what she's been training for. Or why she was chosen. I wonder if the grayscale is because I'm low health. And I wonder if there's a way for them to remove that. I hate when games go grayscale because you're low health. I know that they have to communicate in some way that you've gone low health and you have to be prepared for it. But I hate it so much because it makes it even harder. It's like, when you go low health, and I don't know if this is true for everyone, but I use color a lot to help me determine what things are, right? Like, it's, especially when things are moving quickly, you never really know the shape of something, but you are always able to really tell the color of it. Because the silhouette of something as it moves, because it moves so quickly, it blurs, right? In your eyes, you just can't, like, you can't keep up. But in a single moment, you remember what color it is, and so you know what to do. I just hope that they get rid of that grayscale when you're low health. Or at least have it some option that you can turn on and off. But this is interesting. I didn't expect, I guess relevant to yesterday's thing too, something similar to Okami, where we're trying to bring back the beauty of the world, where we're trying to bring back life to the world and free it from its corruption. And even the way that the music is playing out, the way that the scene is playing out, it feels very much like Okami. And that game had such a great execution of it, and even this game too. I'm looking at this and I'm going, this is a beautiful scene. It looks really nice. The music is extremely good, and you really feel the fruits of your efforts, even if the music is a bit quiet for some reason compared to the rest of the sounds in the game. I'm assuming that's the entire demo. Okay, well, I guess not. Wow, they played the title card just as part of the normal game intro. And someone's door opens. Lehman's door. Maybe this is the end of the demo, and they leave us here to be like, oh, now we don't get to see it. If you want to see more, get the full game. Because it's like, oh, do you get a new party member, or do we get to enter? Easy Junie. Wait, so they know me. Mom and Dad? You're finally awake. Mom and Dad? You slept for almost a week. Yeah, but how long was I in the cryo chamber? How are you guys not dead yet? Huh. Cabbage told everything. Yep, I'm the chosen, the savior of Lehman. Oh, but Lehman is not the name of a person. Lehman is the region. I see. Got it. The way that they use it initially, I thought Lehman was inside the thing, but no, Lehman is the place. Wait, the village is okay? What do you mean the village is okay? Oh, I'm so stupid. They went inside of there. I get it now. Sorry, I'm so stupid. I get it now. They go inside of the little cavern, and that's where they're hiding. It's where all the people go to hide. What I still don't understand, though, is like the time frame of how long we've been stuck. Because it's not like... Because the cryo chamber, right? When the other heroes awoke, they also asked where I was, and then they realized that I wasn't there. And then they were happy that I didn't wake up, because it ended up being that I'm the only one who can now save the world, because all of them are dead, because all of the gods have forsaken them, right? But were we in there for like a week before the bosses came? Because if you're in there for years, right? Even after 5 years, there's no guarantee that your parents are still alive. I'm just saying, like, my parents are ready to drop dead at any moment. I'm saying this as like a 30-year-old, yeah? I've known that they've been ready to drop dead for the last 30 years of my life within the next 5 years. You know what I mean? So it's like, how long was I inside that place that everybody was able to live in that cave after the original heroes died, and now they're able to come out? Because presumably that nest was the same one that killed all of your other hero friends. All the other chosen ones. But there was no monsters there except for the wasp. And I easily sold it, so something happened. Hello, Dad. Good. Okay, well, I'll talk to you guys later. I'll talk to you in the full game. I wonder if they're gonna do something involving the town and building things up, because you can see bits and pieces of it here. And this is interesting. Again, this really goes to show the change that they've made to the game's perspective works so much better here. You can see the depth. It feels like it's there. It's just it's such a subtle effect, but it's really sort of. It feels like when you go from playing the roguelike Moria and then id Software releases Doom for the first time, and then you're like, yo, you know what I mean? It's that same effect where you're like, man, it really does feel like I'm there. I like the way the story is progressing. I like now, especially now, I really like that it starts out on a much more dreary note, because it feels so much more impactful when you actually do eventually solve things. Because then it's like, wow, all of this was you. You know what I mean? You bring life back, and it's not like people are dead; they just ran away to hide, as people tend to do. Because we're very resilient. We're like cockroaches, you know. Maybe not the best way to say it, but you know, that's what it feels like. And then, you know, we get to see the fruits of our efforts, and then maybe we get to see the town build up. Who knows what that portion of the game is like? Maybe we actually get to build the town up as like a. I really hope it's not like to the level of something like Stardew Valley, but maybe something like, I don't know, Dark Cloud. Who knows, really? I'm assuming getting that's going to be very good, but. And doing this too, it's interesting because Okami had this sort of system too, right? Where you're the sun god, you're the sun goddess, sorry, and you build. I love how she tries to run inside the water, and you're trying to build the world up piece by piece. And when you do so, you unlock new ways to explore the world that you were already in. It's like the map opens up even further, and now you get to go back over it again with a fresh color paints, but also a whole new way of experiencing it too. I actually like it a lot. That was sort of, again, the one thing about CrossCode 1 was that because we're so character driven, and because our character was just like a piece of a larger puzzle, it didn't really feel like anything we did amounted to much of anything. Whereas here, it's like, this feels nice. They don't know that I'm an outcast chosen? I never got the chance to tell them. What? So I was already an outcast from before, and I just never told them. And these kids are trying to bother a bird. Why is the bird standing on my head? Man. The character designs are so interesting, too. All the character designs look really, really nice. Very imaginative, but also very fitting to sort of what, I guess, like the stereotypical look of like somebody who like lives on the beach, you know, like a hermit would look like. But not so much that it feels boring. It's like remixed in a way that feels interesting and nice. And again, just more life. People are actually coming back to life here. It's crazy. All of this was the result of what we did. I'm curious to see how far this demo goes here. Because it seems like we can do a heck of a lot more. And we even get hints of what they're trying to build here with the bridge and stuff. How many people are we going to meet? When does it actually say, okay, now you're done? Not that I want it to be done, but it's, you know, all good things have to come to an end. And the demo, they can't give away too much for free, right? I'm gonna go towards where the girls went. I'm assuming that path is the way that you would go. He doesn't have anything to say to us. This is the village as it was before. Now there's a bunch of trees in the way. It's still dead. And there's no indication of it being rebuilt. There was another path to the right side over here. Yeah, here we go. Ah, here we go. The people. It's back. And they are rebuilding everything. So everybody knows who I am? Is it because they all found me asleep? Or is it because they all knew me from before? Okay, so they all knew me from before. So I wasn't asleep for very long. So the Chosen weren't asleep for very long. Uh-oh. Oh, there's a lot of questions, and they're trying to figure out who is she. And she's feeling the pressure of being a chosen person. And we don't know anything, we just know that Nyx is here, and now if you're awake, which one's for how long, and the gods are still asleep. No one knows how long I've been asleep. Maybe it is like cryogenics, where you just, where everyone goes into waiting, you know, with the grace of the gods. And then your being is preserved. So maybe everybody was asleep together, and it just sort of was able to... We were able to sidetrack that problem of everyone slowly aging and dying, right? I'm gonna assume that that's what's going on. I don't think the gods are with us. What? There's other 2 triumvirates. Oh. Estera would either help rebuilding. Okay, well now we get to see. Hey, what does this all mean when you need me to help you rebuild things? Okay, we either build everything, gather everything. Yep, he's yeah, slacking off. Okay, now we have friends. Nyx is still out there. There's Numera. There's the Quick Wood Force and our old rice fields. There's always rice. It's probably the most important ingredient. Follow Estera to the cooking spot in the center. I actually learned about this recently. If you're in America, you make a lot of rice. You know, it's funny how being an Asian person, rice is typically seen as like the Asian ingredient. But like rice is like the American export. It's actually kind of insane. This here's our resting spot. The gods live with some rations. I can cook food? It's just... What does it mean to cook food? Prepare a ration so Juno's finding something to eat so I can rest here and also cook. Consume a meal to refill our healing bulbs and boosts because we lose the healing bulbs. And it gives a buff. And it's a first time... Oh god, there's a first time bonus system. Sorry, it's just... We're gonna... This is... Trouble Whisper. How do you see details? How do you... One health. Here we go. Trouble Whisper. Total duration of boost effects. Reusing the same boost extends the effect. Double Trouble. Increases damage to broken enemies by 15%. Charges 4x. Base heal charges provides 5 healing charges. Speed. Power. This is an interesting system. First time bonus is also interesting. Current palette level and experience in the cook category. This feels, it feels interesting. This feels like a mix of something like from Tales of Symphonia, as well as something like Bloodstained, right? I mean, a lot of games have this idea. When you cook food, you gain a bonus in it, and it gives you different stats. But it really goes into detail, the same detail as Tales of Symphonia, as well as Bloodstained, where it's like first time meal bonus, it gives you this, and I'm gonna give you, but Tales of Symphonia with the different effects that it gives you too. But then it's also an interesting system because it changes how you heal as well. So it's like, while you're choosing some buffs, there's a lever of like, well, how does it affect the healing that you have within combat? I'm assuming later on there's probably going to be a food that's like insane. It's going to be like it's going to be like the like Shin Ramyun equivalent where it gives you like double damage, but it gives you 1 healing charge and it heals like shit, right? Because this one is you get 5 of them, takes 4 seconds to activate, and it only heals you for 160, but you get a little bit more damage. And duration is 25 seconds. Roll. What do you mean to roll? There's no roll. What does it mean by duration? Total the duration of the boost. I only have 25 seconds for when I eat it? Roll. Job. Okay, well, what's funny is that those systems that I'm talking about, right? And it's funny that you use those commands. I've seen those systems the most within Gary's mod servers and stuff, where like those RP servers. But I don't remember what it was called. I just remember that no one played it. But there was that one where it was like, you would go in, and they would have so many different things for you to do within your role. And I was like, wow, this is a very advanced system for a game that's fundamentally just Half-Life 2. Bring that back, please. I mean, we could have it here. All right, do you want a job? Here, I'll go to Nightbot really quick. Also, if you're the dev of this game, please, I'm begging you. Before I complain about it. Please, I'm begging you. Give me an option that lets me play the music even if the game is alt-tabbed. I'm begging you. Please. I just want to be able to hear the music at all times. Obviously, this is like a very streamer-centric thing, but I think even somebody who's playing the game by themselves, often people will play a game and have something on the side that they're sort of reading or watching, like, you know, like maniacs. But still, it'd be nice to have something there that you could listen to. It's a very streamer-specific problem. But even in my day-to-day life, I often tend to find myself putting something on at the same time as I'm doing something because I have no attention span. So you want a job? We'll do job. I think it's like this. All right, now you can type job, and I'm pretty sure that should work if I got it correct. Oh shit, never mind, I didn't get it correct. I'm missing a $sign because it's like PHP. There we go. Enjoy your new job. As I cook a delicious ration. There's a channel called Townsend's. Fuck, it didn't update. Okay, well, type it again. I just updated it. Type it again. I was watching a channel called Townsend's, and they actually talk about this like food, where it's like the style of food is usually awful back then. Like, say you were in the civil, like the military, the Civil War military. I forget the actual term for it back in America, right? All you had was hardtack and water, so you had to combine them to make a shitty stew. This is what this is. The gods have given us a stew. Oh, and she eats! I wish it was like chewing sounds. No, you don't think that you will use it. Again, glad that's not me, you say. That wasn't too bad. I guess that wasn't too bad, sure. Let it use boost, yes. Boosts are displayed by around your healing ball. Oh, okay, so you choose when to use them. Okay, keyboard is a little complicated. I'm gonna split keyboard, so it's even worse for me because 5, 6, and 7 are on two different sides of my keyboard. Like 6 and 7 are on a whole different thing. This is a very specific problem to me, but this is a controller game, and I think maybe even better as a controller game because it's not that hard to aim things, and it feels like with the auto aim system, it feels a lot more lenient, right? For aiming. Whereas like that was why I enjoyed CrossCode with the mouse and keyboard, even though it was annoying with the keybinds. It was because of the aiming system. Canadian keyboard. Canadians, it's not all Canadians that use a split keyboard, but like the true Canadians that we do. Only have the boost. Okay, so holding 5, don't use it. It only lasts 25 seconds, man. Judo. Fight enemies to refill a charge. The total remaining charges, I see, are in the lower right. So you can fight enemies to get them, or you can use them like so. I see. Escape in the 1. The boost used to the has been refunded. Thanks. All filled up. Thanks. Best off to Pentison at the lumber corner and at the patron's grave. They know the spots to get rid of next. Sure. Thanks. You know, interesting, cool take on the idea of your classic sort of Dark Cloud, or yeah, like interesting take on the classic Dark Cloud style of rebuilding a town, right? It's less tedious, and it's actually just built into the narrative of the game because it's just a bunch of quests that you do. Hello. We're sleeping in tents like explorers. So much to rebuild. We gotta keep hammering while the goods last. Sorry. Motoyaki. There's a guy at your work who uses a split Azerty keyboard. You just act like an old man who has never used one before. I mean, the truth is, like, how many people have used an AZERTY keyboard? Azerty. Because that thing is, every time I've only seen one maybe a handful of times, and every single time I was like, get that thing away from me. If you ever show that to me again, I'm gonna freak out. 80 times 2 plus 24 times 4. Where's the... Oh, wait, sorry. The map. Wow, the map is huge. Holy shit. And I like the format of the map. You can still see a lot of the details of the secrets and stuff, but it feels much more natural what the map is, and it feels a lot more like you are actually in like an area, in a world, and not a sectioned off game universe, which is obviously sort of what the first game was. Like the first game was just a split off game universe, but this one really does feel like a much more full, interesting map. That's a good fit for this game. Why is... Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Something's wrong with my hearing. Something doesn't feel good, chat. I think my headphones are officially dead. That and my ears have gotten very, very strange. But somewhere up here, so this is the impact site where the original Nyx's nest was. We can go to the top right to get to the lumber coin. This feels much more open world than what CrossCode was. It actually feels very, very interesting. The path's blocked proper. Yep, you think you can clear this one from the other side? Sure. I mean, I'll try to. I'm not sure how to get to the other side, but sure. But I have to get over there to clear that, and that's a fast way towards the lumber. Otherwise, we have to go the long way by going up. And you know what? Maybe it's good to just call the demo here. It's been like an hour, and I really only had 1 hour for this demo anyways. And this is at least a very interesting look at what the game has to offer, right? It's a very solid look at everything that this game has. And it's a very good experience. Like, it's surprisingly fun. Moving those with sometime, okay. And we just leave the monsters, it's not that serious. He'll die, he'll probably just die. I don't know. Once the curse is lifted, then the gods deemed it was safe, but the other chosen ones are also gone. Do I have to kill them? Okay. You know what? Great demo. Great game. This is good enough for now, for what we see. I'm excited to see the full experience of this game. I'm surprised at how much better it is, and it's so subtle, because it's just such a minor perspective change, but the move away from such a fixed perspective to something that actually has perspective makes it so much easier to understand. The story actually is pretty interesting. It starts off as your typical hero's journey, but then it quickly starts to evolve into something very interesting, because it's like, now you have to deal with this mystery of like why all the other chosen ones died. Why were you the only one left? Why did the gods not forsake you? Or maybe the god, whoever Cabbage is. Like, what happened up there that caused all of this mess down here? And then you have all these other gameplay elements, right? These like quests that make you feel like you're a part of the world. This is the one thing that they did very well within CrossCode, and I'm glad that they carried over. These things that you can do within the game that make you feel like you're a part of this living world, where it's like, oh, now we have to figure out how we're going to build back this town. Hey, you can help us and take part in that process. That's a very fun, interesting premise, and I'm glad that they kept all of this going. Just the only minor issue is that whatever the sound mixing is like, I don't know what it is. It's just so quiet. Everything is so quiet in this game that I wonder if by default... Well, I mean, by default, it'd be hard, but I think by default, maybe music should be at 100, and then master volume should be here. But it just kind of feels like, especially during certain scenes, like, the sound levels, it was very hard to hear certain things. And then thus the gravity of those scenes sort of didn't hit, right? Like the cutscene where all the flowers are blooming again. I would expect the music there to be at the same level as the sound effect to some degree, because like that's the moment that you're supposed to take in the spectacle and the wonder. But it was so quiet that I was like, oh, this like it sort of falls flat. But everything else is great. The controls are really good. The gameplay is solid. The art is amazing, and the responsiveness is really good. Obviously, you know, mouse and keyboard's gonna have a hard time, but there's no real way to work around that. It's just a hard control scheme to make good controls for, compared to something like a straight up a normal controller. You can't expect somebody to play the game with a split keyboard. Like that's just such a niche thing to like deal with. Hello, chat. But you know what? I like this. Great game. Very solid stuff. I'm excited to see the full version of this game. I love CrossCode. I still love CrossCode. We had to finish that game, but we're currently on another game that we need to finish. But yeah, I'm excited for this one. Keep an eye on this game. Alabaster Dawn. It's really cool. The demo's out now. I think you'll have a much better time playing it yourself all the way through. And you actually see hints of things that are going to come. Like there's even a quest up here that's not included within the demo, but we started there and we can and then we came down here. And in the full game, I'm curious to see how much scale there is. Because that was the one thing about CrossCode that was sort of insane to me, was that it was such a large, interconnected game world that it felt like you were playing a very large open world MMO. In terms of its scale and scope, and in terms of like what the quests were. It's very, very good. I'm excited. And also, please add an option to keep the music playing, even though the game is minimized.